But we don't see none of this translated into the prices in the local economy. Because when the price of corn was very high, the chicken producers in this country, the poultry producers, claim that the reason for the increase in the price of chicken meat was because of the increase in the inputs. Now that we have seen that whatever caused the inputs to increase on the international market the prices have fallen, and this is probably not in your remit, but why is it that we're not seeing translating into a fall in the price to the consumers of the same products that they claimed were increased as a consequence of the inputs?
If I could start with the last question. Yes, but inflation has fallen in Jamaica at 4.9%. It's the lowest it has. Yes, so the 25% reduction in commodity prices is this September compared to last September. And the change in the inflation rate, it's 4.9% this October, and is probably 6 point something last, 6.9 in December of last year. So inflation has come off as those prices have come off too. So between 6 and 5, that is at least 15%, 20%. And in 2022, it was as high as 11.8%. The other point you raise about the banks operating as a cartel, well, I don't know that they operate as a cartel, and there are differences, especially at the margin. And what you'll find is that the money market rates have been very sensitive to the BOJ policy rates. So those have moved quite in tandem, and we're very happy with that transmission system. But if you have a market where two institutions dominate and they say this is the price, it's very hard for other institutions to better that price. Especially on the cost side, they may say, why do I have to do so? And on the lending side, they are unable to do any better. So the solution is to democratize more the banking situation so that there is more even competition, and where that competition can drive prices up and down accordingly.
Member Malahoo-Ford.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I was just looking to get something right. Want to commend the governor and his team for the recent award that the Bank of Jamaica received. I'm not sure how well known it is, but clearly a recognition of the work being done under your stewardship. Having said that, there is a constant complaint about the ATMs and the availability of cash at ATMs. What is happening there, Governor? I mean,
I pass it over to the expert on ATMs.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that question. So we would have implemented a service level standard for ABMs in April of this year, and we have been tracking the performance of each DTI on a monthly basis and publishing those reports both on our website and in both major newspapers. We've been monitoring their compliance against the standard, and each of them have submitted to us board approved plans, meaning their board members have approved action plans to bring themselves into conformity with the service level standards. We continue to have dialogue with the DTIs individually and as a group represented by the Jamaica Bankers Association. So what has been the impact thus far? It's been mixed. Comparing to September of last year, 2023, we now have 899 ABMs installed across the island. That's in comparison with 871. So we have more ABMs installed across the island compared to September 2023. Yes, that would be 28 additional ABMs installed across the island. The performance, in terms of we have a target under the standard that indicates that 95% or 90%, sorry, of those ABMs by bank should be operational, and banks have been meeting and exceeding that target consistently since the standard has been implemented. So we do see that the ABMs that are installed are operational, right, or in excess of 90%. Where we notice the improvement not being as strong is in terms of uptime. So uptime has to do with how long the ABM is operational during the month. And entities have been hovering between 89% and 90%, which is below the standard of 95%. So that's where we have seen that the performance requires improvement, and we continue to dialogue with them in terms of the reasons for that. Primarily what we have understood is that as they have changed out the old ABMs for newer ABMs, that they have had operational issues in terms of calibrating those new ABMs to the currency denominations and other factors. So there's been a trade-off in terms of more ABMs being installed and more being operational, but not as the uptime not being at the standard. So we continue to dialogue with them in relation to that. In terms of faults, we have seen a significant decline in ABM faults. So in January of 2028, there were reported 258,000 ABM faults for the month. That has fallen to 105,000 faults for the month. And what that looks like is it essentially means that if you have 900 ABMs, you're roughly running about 10 faults per machine per month. So that is quite commendable because, well, we monitor cash-in faults. That is when customers are trying to deposit funds in the ABMs. We monitor cash-out faults. That's when customers are trying to retrieve cash. And then we have a catch-all for miscellaneous faults. And that 105,000 ABM faults as at September 2024 is everything together. In terms of cash-out faults, that is well under 10,000. And in terms of the cash-in faults or deposit errors, 17,000 per month. So that's 17,000 faults for roughly 900 ABMs per month. So we're seeing tremendous effort by DTIs to ensure that their machines are operating in a way that allows them to deliver the service. But they're not there yet in terms of the uptime, which is currently at 89% relative to the 95% set in the target. We can verify that independently because we do have, so recall that all ABMs are connected to centralized system JETS, and we do get the data from that independent system. So we get the reporting directly from each DTI, and we can back check that with the information that comes from an independent system. And so we do have that, and we have had extensive dialogue with them, which is why we have seen some of these improvements. In terms of recovery time, at the beginning of the process, there were instances where the time to bring up an ABM once it's gone down was over 10 hours. It's now at 3.2 hours. So we have seen improvements there. This is per bank? No, this is all together. So it includes urban and rural. It includes urban and rural. So, but, right, so now recall they have not reached the benchmark because for urban it's 1 hour and for rural it's 3 hours. So overall they're at the 3 hour mark. So there's still room for improvement.
So, member, I know that there is a lot of angst in Parliament and in the public about ABMs and cash, especially in the rural areas. And there is a proposal where the government and the banks would work together jointly to establish ABMs in areas that maybe not economical to have a ABM, but which would provide a great public service. And I would commend that to members here to pursue, and I, on my side with the banks, have discussed it with them, and I think that they are prepared to look at it. Well, what you find is that there are certain geographies where it doesn't make economic sense to put a $500,000 US machine. So to the extent that the government is prepared to put up some of that capital or to subsidize the operation of that machine, but it is available for the public to use. Otherwise, what we'll find is that the banks that are profit-driven will always drag their feet in trying to, in expanding the network. So I think it's a proposal that is deserving of pursuit. It's a proposal that I discussed here at, I think it was the last Standing Finance Committee.
Member Jackson, you're next.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Let me repeat, and I will not give this guidance to the House again. I'm going to double check when the mic systems came into place. They work the same way since the day they came into place. The moment you touch your mic, you are next in line. The speaker makes no determination, nor does the chair, as to who speaks. The moment you disconnect your mic, you are now back at the line when you turn it on again. And if you think you want to speak again, keep your mic on. I think everybody knows me. So I will only follow the mic rule. I'm not even looking up. I press the mic, and the person whose mic goes red, that's the next speaker. Member Guy, Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a pick up on the ABM machines. My colleague have touched on it, but a couple of points, Governor. I'll start with the last one you mentioned first. The machines in spaces that are deemed not economically viable for the banks. You know, if that principle was to be applied to the JPS, many rural areas wouldn't have any electricity. And in many markets, you have some high revenue customers, you have some high revenue areas, and you have some low revenue areas. But if it is approached from the perspective that full coverage or near full coverage is desirable to serve the society, it can't be that the banks cherry pick those high density areas and those in the relatively low density area suffer altogether. The level of business in the high density areas is expected to carry those in the low density areas. That's one I want to make. In respect to the question of the safety of machines, and that's a reasonable concern, nobody's going to put up, you know, as I say, $500,000 in an area to be vandalized at a high risk of being vandalized. Where I think the government can come in is there are some public spaces which are relatively safe, such as police stations. And many of these rural towns take place like even in Claremont and other places like those and some other rural towns, we can list them, that there's a police station. There's a police station. Police stations are open, if not 24 hours per day, but many hours for the day. Those are possible areas that they can be placed so that access can be made available with a reduced risk of vandalism or theft of the machine. Thirdly, Governor, the standards were given 9 months. And not so clear. Is it 9 months to put systems in place or 9 months to be fully compliant? You recall in a previous discussion, I think in the Economy and Production Committee, we had asked for those things that could be implemented in the first 2-3 months should be done then rather than given the entire 9 months. So if they start at the 8th month, they really can't comply because they're just putting in place. So help me on that one, if the 9 months was to put in policy, set the system in place, or is it 9 months to be fully compliant with the standards that are laid out? And lastly, for the downtime, you indicate it's 90%, 89% as against 95% that the standards provide for. Uptime, thank you, uptime. When a bank does not meet that, given that they ought to be compliant, what is the penalty, if any?
Member, thank you for those remarks. It's interesting that you cited electricity, because that is an area in which we in Jamaica have a very strong piece of legislation about market conduct and customer protection. We don't have a similar piece of legislation in the financial sector. And that is something that we are trying to cure through the Twin Peaks, that piece of legislation that we have begun to craft and which has not got very far in the legislative process, but which is at the heart of putting teeth into the regulators' hands to enforce certain market conduct and customer protection standards. We, at this point, whatever we have achieved in respect of ABMs is through discussion with the banks and with their acceptance morally. And that is all the power that we have at this time. We have no legislative power in that respect. I would say too, one of the things that we have to be prepared for, banks are all private sector firms. And to the extent that an ABM is uneconomical, to be subsidized by an ABM that is more economical, you'll find that generally fees rise with ABM machines. So I think that is the kind of downside to forcing ABMs to be established in uneconomic areas. But I think the point about security and telecommunications, connectivity, is just as important. And to the extent we can provide that in areas where we don't have ABM services. There are many towns where there's one ABM. And if that goes down, then the next 50 miles around has no ABM. So let's put another one in there, even if it has to be a joint venture ABM. I don't see us getting away from having these recurring discussions every time unless we do something as drastic as that. I'm going to ask Dr. Lewis to comment on one other thing.
Okay, so just to give an update as to the performance of banks in relation to the service level standards, we have 8 banks that offer retail services, and they have ABM facilities. In terms of safety and security, 6 have brought themselves into compliance, 2 are outstanding. Financial education, 6 have brought themselves into full compliance with that section of the SLS, and 2 are outstanding. 1 is partially compliant. In terms of fraud minimization, 5 out of the 8 are fully compliant, 2 are partially compliant. In terms of availability of cash, 4 are fully compliant, 2 are partially compliant. Maintenance and management of service disruptions, this is where we see not full compliance. We have 2 that are fully compliant, 2 partially compliant, and 4 not yet compliant. And in terms of accessibility and ease of use, for example, providing ABMs for those who are physically disabled or elderly, we have 4 that are partially compliant, 1 that's fully compliant, 3 that's non-compliant. The information that we've received and the discussions we have had with them to date, there have been setbacks that have occurred in the context or in the wake of Hurricane Beryl. It did set back a number of DTIs in terms of their own plans. They have requested, many of them have requested extensions up to the end of the first quarter, a few to the second quarter of 2025, to bring themselves into full compliance. So our expectation is that at the next time we give this report, it would be a better report card.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to just add my voice to the discussion on ABM in rural areas. As a rural member of Parliament, I see the issues daily. We have communities like Richmond, which is a town, has no ABM. We have Castleton, and Castleton Garden in particular, that sees hundreds of people. There's no ABM. But I do accept your point, Governor, with regards to private sector and the interest that they have. But the question I really want to ask is, in a service level agreement that you currently have, is there any way we could either look at a renegotiated service level agreement that looks at accessibility, and this is not accessibility from the disabilities side, but just for persons being able to access ABM in a particular geographical area, so at least persons can be served adequately?
I think we can, but I think we're going to end up at the point where who is going to put that ABM in? And you know, the angst that I hear when I come here, I think it's deserving of you know, looking into the idea of let's say that in each parish we're going to put 2 more ABMs in important towns. Let's do that as a pilot. I mean, I don't think that will be too expensive for us between the banks and the government to maintain. BOJ, well, we'll just have to pass less dividends to the government, if that is okay with you, Madam Chair.
Madam Speaker, Chair, just a very short question. The ABM system, most banks do not permit funds to be transferred, some at different times, but usually about 12 o'clock. They do not allow funds to be transferred having been sent by, for want of a better word, say, the payer of the obligation. The payee cannot look forward to receiving those funds until Monday, and at times as late as beyond the working hour of Monday to get the money. Has the bank ever examined? I know the obvious question is you have to be careful that in transferring money on the weekend where you're not up to full speed with staffing and so on. Could there not be a system put in place that would accommodate persons trying to transfer beyond that hour? Because what happens is that it carries a very bad image when someone expects to be paid and through no fault of theirs, the payer didn't get around to sending it before, say, midday. And they have to wait over the weekend, and those funds were very essential to their activities over the weekend. Has the bank ever looked into the into establishing a working relationship that would bring light to this. Because I'm telling you quite frankly, Madam Chair, it has caught me repeatedly, through my own fault, of course, but there's not even adequate circulation of the systems in place to alert many customers who fall prey to this late hour of making deposits from one bank to another. Not the same, well, in fact, yeah, not the same bank, but where you're going cross-bank to another institution from the one that you have as your personal bank.
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. So this is something that we have been in discussion with the Jamaica Bankers Association on. One of the initiatives that they are considering is the implementation of a instant payment system, and that really will allow for the transfer of funds in near real time from one bank to another bank, regardless of the hour of day. It is still at the proposal phase. I'm sure they could be invited to make representation on their initiative and their intentions, but that would, I think, address that particular concern of funds not settling on the same day when it's being transferred from one retail bank to the other retail bank. So that's something that has been discussed. I believe there is broad support for it across the banking sector, and I believe they're in a position to give a fulsome update as to where they are on that matter.
Well, I certainly hope that you will have great success in bringing it about, because it carries with it a sense of reputational damage to the uninitiated. In other words, somebody not aware of the technical reasons why you can't get the funds transferred at the same time or even that day end of. They think you don't have the money. And so you hear they will say things like, the bank don't send no money. And you say, but the money has been sent because I've made the order, but it don't arrive. So it creates in their minds a sense of doubt and uncertainty, an inconvenience to say the least. So it is a matter that I think should be addressed at the earliest possible time.
That was your final question / comment to the BOJ. I do not know if you would like to do any summary before we accept the prepared report from the Minister. Is there any other closing statement or comment?
Well, no remarks on the statement itself, Madam Chair. Just to say, Member Malahoo Fort raised the issue of the award that the Bank of Jamaica got from Global Finance. It's a rating of A-, which is excellent. I raise it only to say that Jamaica has a good central bank. It's one that we have preserved for decades. It's not good just today. It has always been very good, and it's to our merit that we have a central bank that is respected throughout the world.
Thank you very much to the team from the BOJ and for particularly having submitted and come here today to review your monetary policy statement for the last 6 months, ended September 2024.
Thank you.
Godspeed and have a wonderful Christmas holiday.
Thank you, and the same to you and the members.
Okay, thank you. Members, the report of the Standing Finance Committee of the whole House of Representatives, consisting of all members of the House, on the Bank of Jamaica Monetary Policy Statement for the 6 months ended September 2024 to this committee is before me. Is it the wish of the committee that I sign it? Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. The committee now stands adjourned. This Honorable House now resumes its sitting. House Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I now ask for the recommittal of the following items: announcements, reports from committees, and notices of motions given orally.
A moment, please. Members, House Leader just made an announcement. Those in favor of the recommittal of the items mentioned, those against, the ayes have it. Clerk.
Laid on the table of the House is the report of the Standing Finance Committee of the whole House of Representatives, consisting of all members of the House of Representatives, on the Bank of Jamaica monetary policy statement covering the 6 months ended September 2024.
Reports from committees.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to lay on the table of the House a copy of the report of the Standing Finance Committee of the whole House of Representatives, consisting of all members of the House, on the Bank of Jamaica Monetary Policy Statement for the 6 months ended September 2024 to this committee, which was laid on the table of the House on the 10th day of December 2024.
Notices of motions given orally, House Leader.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move the following motion. Be it resolved that the report of the Standing Finance Committee of the House of Representatives on the Bank of Jamaica Monetary Policy Statement for the 6 months ended September 2024, which was laid on the table of the House on the 10th day of December 2024, be approved.
House Leader, I'm going to ask that we continue and then we would go into public business from there.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I further beg to give notice that at a later stage today, I will move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, House Leader. House Leader, since you're on your feet, I'll go into public business, and you could just complete your segment here before we take the continuation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for your generosity. Madam Speaker, I now move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take the motion, notice of which I gave earlier. The question is that the standing orders be suspended to enable the minister to take the motion, notice of which he gave earlier. Those in favor? Aye.
Those against? The ayes have it.
So, Madam Speaker, we have already discussed the matter. And so, on the motion, we have discussed the matter on the motion and asked that it be approved.
Thank you, House Leader. The question is that the motion, notice of which Minister gave earlier, now be approved. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. That is beautiful. House Leader, we have already heard one member. The listing was given prior. I see member from Westmoreland, Daniel Lawrence, here. Eastern Westmoreland. I note that one other member was called. Eastern, somebody else was.
Madam Speaker, I asked for a recommittal of the State of Constituency debate, and we have two remaining speakers. We have Mr. Daniel Lawrence, MP Westmoreland Eastern, and Dr. Michelle Charles, MP St. Thomas Eastern. And then we will conclude the debate.
Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. So we're at public business still, continuing the State of the Constituency debate. Members, please make welcome to his feet MP Daniel Lawrence, member from Westmoreland Eastern. That sounds pian-pian. Members, make welcome to his feet.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am seeking permission to speak from a seat that is not mine.
Permission granted, member.
Yes, miss. Thank you. Madam Speaker, It is with profound honor that I stand before you in this honorable house. Madam Speaker, being able to stand as a proud representative has entrusted me with the diligent duty of leadership for the constituency. Thank you for believing in change and that the people in our constituency deserves better. Madam Speaker, permission to pay special recognition to my family who have stood with me through highs and lows. Madam Speaker, teamwork divides the task and multiplies the success. Therefore, I must recognize my 4 divisional caretakers and my constituency management team who have all been the elastic in the constituency that still manages to regain their shape even when stretched. To my colleagues, your words of encouragement and support are never too much. Madam Speaker, I will not be long today as my presentation will be like a skirt long enough to cover the impact I have made in Westmoreland, Eastern, and short enough to show the activities and strong, and to show how active and strong we are in transforming Westmoreland Eastern. Madam Speaker, today we stand at the crossroad of history, witnessing the transformation of a nation that has long been a beacon of culture, resilience, and ambition. At the helm of this transformation is none other than the Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Honorable Dr. Andrew Michael Holness, a leader whose vision is propelling the country into a future of unprecedented possibilities. I am proud to be standing here today, Madam Speaker, as a member of this great administration. Madam Speaker, Westmoreland Eastern is an agricultural-based constituency. Our farmers and fishers form the backbone of the local economy, contributing significantly to our food security and livelihoods. However, like everywhere else, they face challenges of unpredictable weather conditions, rising costs, and most recently, the crippling effect of Hurricane Beryl. Madam Speaker, the agricultural industry of Westmoreland Eastern was struck hard on July 3rd, leaving farmers and fisher folks to pick up their pieces and start all over again. Luckily, the government of today, and by extension our Agriculture and Fisheries Minister, Honorable Floyd Green, has hastily stepped in to provide farmers and fishers with much needed assistance. Minister Green, he's not here, but the people of Westmoreland Eastern wanted me to extend their heartfelt thanks to you publicly on this platform, and I am pleased to be the bearer of such incredible message. The Honorable Minister has also committed to upgrade our fishing infrastructures with cold storage and better docking facilities, looking forward to a greater days ahead. Our future lies in the hands of our youth, and it is vital that we provide them with the resources to succeed. Again, Madam Speaker, Beryl, with destruction under her breath, hurricane rampaged through the schools in Westmoreland Eastern, leaving behind a trail of devastation. No school was spared from minor to major damages. After Hurricane Beryl, we worked hard through our dedication and hard-working former Minister of Education, the Honorable Favour Williams, to have our schools ready for September 2024 academic school year. Madam Speaker, I am pleased to report that Belmont Academy, New Works Primary, and Maud McLeod and Carmel Primary, which were hardest hit, were repaired just in time for September 2nd, 2024 academic school year. As usual, Madam Speaker, in ensuring that our students are ready for the new school year, we hosted 4 back-to-school medical treats where we did free medical, dental, eye testing, and supplies to students in attendance with school supplies. Madam Speaker, over 3,000 bags and school supplies were distributed. Additionally, we allocated $4 million towards book vouchers for students. Madam Speaker, I must also extend the greatest of appreciation to the government of Jamaica and by extension, former Minister Favour Williams for the additional $3 million towards tertiary grant, and which provide opportunity for many tertiary students in Westmoreland Eastern. Madam Speaker, I am so proud of the young people who are embracing the training opportunities provided by Hard Trust NSTA. These programs are giving them the skills they need to build a brighter future. And I have seen the incredible energies, and I have seen the incredible energies with which they are engaged in the CARE and LIFT program. Kudos to our Prime Minister for his visionary initiatives. The New Works and Beaufort Primary will be benefiting from public and private partnership, where both schools are expected to be retrofitted with computers, labs, and digital libraries. Strong infrastructural development is the foundation of thriving communities, and we have made huge strides in road improvement. Madam Speaker, over the past year, we have continued with our infrastructural development program, which is creating tangible improvement to our roads in Westmoreland Eastern. In my last presentation, I have made mention about work that was ongoing on the road leading from Witton to Darliston. This road is now fully rehabilitated. Madam Speaker, the Spark program will be sparking in Argyle Mountain, Garden to Congress, Dundee to Charles Mount, Cave to Kentucky, Kincaran, Lennox Big Woods to McDonald, Ashton to Dundee, Fostic Grove, and Mount Blessed in the first phase. Additionally, Madam Speaker, with the REACH program, we will be reaching roads such as Content to Darliston, Point to Ashton, bottom of Red Hill Road, section of Big Woods, Haas Pass to Amity, and section of Yorkwood and York in Betheltown, just to name a few. Thank you. Madam Speaker, with the new announcement by our Prime Minister, we are expecting a much smoother ride into the new year, as most of our main roads will be addressed. Madam Speaker, Thomas Fuller once said, and I quote, "You never know the worth of water till the well is dry." Madam Speaker, the Danchote water system is now in a much better position than it was a year ago. However, the lines leading to Betheltown are desperately in need of replacement so as to get a proper supply in the communities. Madam Speaker, the well in Petersville is now completed and expected to commission into service by early next year. Madam Speaker, my team and I are currently in the final stages of putting a proposal together to submit to the ministry for the harvesting of water at the Beeson Spring and Robbins River. Access to the internet is no longer a luxury. It is a necessity. Madam Speaker, I want Westmoreland Eastern to be a place where every child, regardless of where they live or how much their parents earn, has access to a world of knowledge at their fingertip, where digital classrooms become incubators for a new generation of leaders. Madam Speaker, I am thrilled to announce the upcoming installation of our 7th and 8th community Wi-Fi access point in Lime Tree Lane, Beeson Spring, and Lambs River District in Betheltown Division in Eastern Westmoreland. Madam Speaker, by expanding the technology, especially for our youth, we are giving them the tool they need to succeed in the digital world. Madam Speaker, sports brings people together, and I am excited to announce the launch of the Danny Lawrence Domino Football and Netball League, scheduled to start early next year. Yes. These events will bring
House Leader, the member's time for speaking has expired.
Madam Speaker, the member time has expired. May I ask that you grant him additional 5 minutes? 5 minutes in order to complete his presentation, if you may.
Member, try to move as quickly as you can. Question is that the member's time be extended to allow him to complete. You will not get more than 10 minutes, member. Next minister. Members, those in favor? Aye. Those against? Ayes have it.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, but I don't really need 10. I'll wrap up long before so we can continue with the business of the day. Right. The event will engage members of the communities within the 4 divisions to compete amongst each others in a friendly manner. In concluding, Madam Speaker, in this moment, we are witnessing the dawn of a new era, one where dreams of people in Westmoreland Eastern are being fulfilled, and where the next generation will look back and say, this was the moment when Westmoreland Eastern truly become the constituency it was always destined to be. Madam Speaker, as I continue this diligent journey, I pray that the Almighty God will forever grant me with wisdom, understanding, and good health to carry out my duties. God bless the people of Westmoreland Eastern, and God bless Jamaica, land we love. Thank you.
House Leader.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to congratulate the member from Westmoreland Eastern for his presentation and to wish him, of course, all the best in that his words were that the constituency, whatever it was destined to be, it will be under his leadership, and you can see quite a bit of work has been placed by this member of parliament. Madam Speaker, I now ask that you invite the next speaker, the member from St. Thomas Eastern, Dr. Michelle Charles, to make her contribution.
Let's make welcome to her feet the member from St. Thomas Eastern. Members, it's not a lot of us, but we need to give her a good clap, man.
Madam Speaker, I must first of all say thank you to Almighty God, for it is He who is the architect of my life, and it is He who deserves the highest praise. Madam Speaker, I am delighted to rise for the 4th time in this honorable House as Member of Parliament for St. Thomas Eastern. When I became Member of Parliament in September 2020, St. Thomas was considered to be the forgotten parish. It wasn't even on the map in some people's minds. So in my maiden presentation, I informed the nation that St. Thomas Eastern had the audacity to shine. In my second presentation, Madam Speaker, I informed the nation that despite being faced with unprecedented challenges, there was a flicker of light in St. Thomas Eastern, and we were confident that we would shine. Last year, Madam Speaker, the transformation in our constituency was significant, and we felt ourselves elevating in the light. So the title of that presentation was Elevating in the Light. This year, Madam Speaker, I stand here to report to the nation that the state of St. Thomas Eastern is even stronger than the last. And I say to the residents who are experiencing this industrial revolution after almost 28 unbroken years of stagnation and darkness, and who can literally see that we are better off today than we were 4 years ago, I say to my St. Thomas Eastern family through you, Madam Speaker, the whole world is looking and they can see our light shining. So don't let your light go out. Hold on to your victory. Madam Speaker, I take this opportunity to thank my councillor, Michael McLeod, and councillor caretakers Winston Downey, Michael Hugh, and Nordine McKenzie. Thank you also to my secretaries, Ms. Cooper and Ms. Small, and my entire Diamond team. I could not carry out my duties without you all, and I must extend my sincere appreciation. Madam Speaker, let me also acknowledge my daughter Drew and my son Chad, along with my parents Pernell and Gloria, and my extended family and friends for their unwavering love and support. Madam Speaker, allow me to acknowledge with fierce pride and joy the member from Clarendon Southeastern and my little brother Pernell Charles Jr. Madam Speaker, I am immensely proud and eternally grateful to have been able to serve our country with him right by my side. Our parents taught us to serve our country from the second we were born, either through medicine or politics, and it has been an unforgettable ride. To you, Madam Speaker, and to our Deputy Speaker, may you both continue to lead us with fairness and impartiality. To our new Clerk of the House and the entire team here in this Honorable House, thank you for your dedication and hard work. Madam Speaker, allow me to acknowledge with deep appreciation our Honorable Prime Minister, my parliamentarian colleagues, and the Jamaica Labour Party team who continue to support me as we all work together to build a Jamaica we can all be proud of. Yes. Madam Speaker, we had 2 elections in my constituency this year in the Morant Bay division. In February this year, the opposition candidate won the division by 412 votes. On November the 22nd, Madam Speaker, our newly minted Jamaica Labour Party councillor caretaker candidate, Mr. Winston Downey, managed to close that gap, reducing our loss to 124 votes in a traditionally PNP division. Madam Speaker, I would like to especially thank Ms. Rihanna Wright and her team, who worked tirelessly. I would also like to thank Deputy Leader James Robertson and all of Area Council 2 and everyone who took the time out to help with the by-election, including you, Minister Chuck, and everybody. Madam Speaker, they over there had this division for close to 30 years with no development. But our government has brought infrastructure, rehabilitating several roads, and everywhere you go, you can log on to free Wi-Fi. Thank you to Universal Service Fund. Madam Speaker, the Rudolph Elder Park will be completely rehabilitated, and we already have a brand new highway which comes with new water pipes and fiber optics. Our government is building the largest urban center in the Caribbean, slated to open in just a few months and bring in over 4,000 jobs. It is this Andrew Holness-led government that is building Morant Bay, Madam Speaker. St. Thomas has been known as a forgotten parish for years, and they just break ground and toss dirt and shut down things like the Goodyear factory. We bring in cement and block and Kentucky Fried Chicken. So when you look at that space, you say to yourself, built by labor. And Madam Speaker, there's much more to come in Morant Bay. Let me thank TBDCO and the Minister of Tourism for assisting us with building a brand new bathroom and changing area at the Morant Bay Fishing Village, well needed. Madam Speaker, in my second presentation to this House in 2022, we had the audacity to ask the government to consider transforming the old courthouse in Morant Bay into a national museum, which would keep the history of St. Thomas alive. I'm happy to report that the procurement process to engage the services of a consulting firm to design the museum is underway. The tender process closed on November the 11th. A technical committee was formed to evaluate the bids. Is expected to complete the evaluation process by December 12, 2024. It is expected that the design component will be completed by the end of the first quarter in the next financial year. Madam Speaker, the residents of St. Thomas Eastern know that the light is shining. They know that we are a government that they can depend on. And I say to the residents through you, Madam Speaker, don't hide your light under a bushel. Hold it up and show the world that the light is shining. Don't let your light go out. Hold on to your victory. Madam Speaker, during the period of 2023 to 2024, a total of 51 farmers benefited from water tanks, fertilizer, broiler chicks, and an additional 44 farmers have so far benefited from 2,200 baby chicks and 220 bags of broiler feed as well. We would like to thank the Minister of Agriculture and the member from Southwest St. Elizabeth for all that you have done to help our fishermen and farmers during the Hurricane Beryl Recovery Program and the Fisheries Productive Incentive Program. Thank you, thank you, thank you to the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries. Madam Speaker, water is indeed the foundation of life. It's essential for human survival, and its importance cannot be overstated. So allow me to spend a few minutes on water. The demand for water in the towns of Morant Bay and East Prospect is steadily increasing due to population growth and planned development within our parish. In response, the National Water Commission is committed to ensuring a reliable water source to supply the capital town of Morant Bay and the growing towns of East Prospect as well. To address this demand, the NWC has identified key infrastructure improvements, including the rehabilitation of the relift station and the upgrading of the distribution network. This will involve the installation of 200 millimeter and 250 millimeter pipelines from the Springfield facility to the Stanton tank. The rehabilitation of the relift station would include the repair of the storage tank and the supply and installation of the new relift pumps from Morant Bay, as well as the addition of a generator and motor control center. Madam Speaker, the Stanton housing scheme is supplied by the Spring Garden facility, which produces approximately 95,000 empirical gallons of water per day. However, the Stanton housing scheme has faced chronic water shortages over the past 20 years. In response, several initiatives have been implemented to alleviate the water supply issues affecting 185 households who have been without water for extended periods. These initiatives include the allocation of over $7.5 million to address pipeline defects, clear blockages, reconfigure the network, and replace sections of pipelines to restore services to customers who have been without water for decades. Madam Speaker, the NWC's Apple Farm system is a surface water system that produces approximately 2 mgd of portable water through the use of 2 vertical turbine pumps units. This system serves several parts of our constituency. Madam Speaker, the communities served by the Apple Farm have long faced challenges with service delivery, particularly in elevated areas like Top House. Additionally, residents in Stokes Hall and surrounding areas are now experiencing disruptions due to ongoing road work, which frequently damage small 2-inch distribution lines, worsening the area already that has poor services. To address these long-standing issues, our assessments have revealed that demand on the Apple Farm system must be reduced. This will be achieved by repairing leaks, especially on the larger trunk mains, and by regularizing individuals who are illegally accessing water. Madam Speaker, allow me to say thank you to the member from Northeast St. Anne for the National Drought Mitigation Program, which is a black tan distribution program, and to Dr. Francis and the hardworking team at the National Water Commission, whose numbers I have on speed dial. Access to clean water drives economic growth, improves health, and increases productivity. I can declare to you, Madam Speaker, that when it comes to water infrastructure, we are better off today than we were 4 years ago. I say to my St. Thomas Eastern family, your light is shining brighter than it was 4 years ago. So don't let your light go out. Hold on to your victory. Madam Speaker, our constituency continues to spend a minimum of $6 million out of our CDF towards education. Over 1,500 students benefited from back-to-school and tuition assistance this year, including book vouchers, school bags, and uniforms. Allow me to thank the Ministry of Education for the repair of several schools, especially after the hurricane, and for the additional $3 million, which was allocated to assist 38 young university students with their tuition. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Health headed by the member from West Central St. Catherine, continues to develop and implement health policies, strategies, and plans to improve the health and well-being of the people of St. Thomas Eastern and Jamaica on a whole. I must thank him. Madam Speaker, community health centers help bridge the healthcare gap in rural areas. They often engage in community outreach programs addressing specific health needs and concerns. They provide emergency care, stabilizing patients until they can be transferred to a larger hospital if needed. Madam Speaker, this year, the Port Morant Health Center and the Arcadia Health Center were completely refurbished and reopened. The investment cost just under $35 million. Madam Speaker, I have traveled the world and visited several health care facilities, and I stand before you to say that the upgrades to our facilities are top-notch and first world. As a medical professional, I am extremely proud of the transformation of our healthcare facilities over the last 4 years. When it comes to healthcare, we are way better off than we were 4 years ago. And I say to my St. Thomas family, I see your light shining with your brand new air-conditioned clinic and your pharmacy at the Port Morant Health Center. So you don't have to go down to Morant Bay to fill your prescription. So remember, don't let your light go out. Hold on to your victory. Madam Speaker, the St. Thomas Eastern constituency encompasses 4 police jurisdictions: Morant Bay, Port Morant, Golden Grove, and Bath. A total of 46 major crimes have been recorded across the 4 divisions, and up to this year, 46, versus last year, 74, a decrease of 28, that's 38%. Madam Speaker, 20 break-ins this year to 26 from last year, another decrease, Madam Speaker. Murder has also gone down in our constituency. So, Madam Speaker, as far as we're concerned, St. Thomas Eastern is developing. We see crime and violence trending downwards. Right. Let me acknowledge and appreciate the hard work and the sacrifices made by the police department. Your commitment to keeping our community safe is invaluable. Yes. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security continues to play a vital role in St. Thomas Eastern, providing comprehensive support to vulnerable groups within our society, yes, including the elderly, persons with disability, yes, and low-income families. Madam Speaker, one must recognize the significance of the increase in the national minimum wage, yes, the second increase in over a year. Right. Madam Speaker, I had 3 recruitment drives in our constituency where over 400 young people came for security jobs. So I'm happy that there's also an increase in the minimum wage for security guards as well. That's well overdue. Thank you. Madam Speaker, we increased the budget for social pension benefits by a whopping 165%, following an increase in NIS pension for up to 76% last year. Madam Speaker, this government is a positive change that Jamaica needed all along. Right. Everything in this ministry has increased because we can balance the budget and offer economic stability. PATH beneficiaries are also enjoying an increase in benefits as a result of a budget increase of 28.8%. And we must pause to thank this administration for putting the people first. Madam Speaker, the Overseas Employment Program is one that all members of Parliament know is extremely important to our constituents, and we must thank you as well. Madam Speaker, the Rebuild Jamaica initiative aimed at restoring our household and communities that have been severely impacted by Hurricane Beryl has been instrumental in ensuring that most vulnerable among us receive the support necessary to recover from the devastation. Right. Hundreds of persons in my constituency have benefited from this initiative, and I must say thank you to the minister. Madam Speaker, I cannot just say that we are shining in the east, because with all that I just said, we are shining in the north, the south, the east, and the west. I say to Jamaica, hold on to your light. Stick with this government, the one that you can trust. I know that we might not be the best, but we are better than the rest. Madam Speaker, the roadway between Dumfries and Prospect in St. Thomas Eastern is currently reduced to a single-lane access. The work currently underway includes removal of asphaltic concrete surface.
Members' time for speaking has expired. House Leader.
Madam Speaker, I ask for the member be given 10 minutes to complete your presentation.
Question is that the member be allowed 10 minutes to complete. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I sat in traffic for almost an hour just trying to get to Pira, so I understand the frustration of my constituents. Some of our drivers are breaking the line and driving dangerously to get to where they're going. Let me first apologize for the inconvenience the motorists are facing as a result of all the works being done, and ask that the operators that are operating vehicles proceed with caution and obey the instructions of the flagged persons and that are the posted warning signs. China Harbor Engineering Company is working aggressively to advance the progress of the works and have given me the commitment to have that section completed prior to the Christmas holiday, if weather allows. Madam Speaker, the flooding in Port Morant Square has been consistently on the news, even before my tenure as Member of Parliament. The former Member of Parliament's office is right there in the square where it floods. Even crocodiles have gone up to that front door during a flood. I remember it flooding in Port Morant when I was a little girl and when Gillette was a little girl. So, Madam Speaker, the parish of St. Thomas is prone to flooding, especially during tropical storms and heavy rainfalls. Several flood damages assessments have been done. So when I see the opposition on TV acting like this is a new and trying to score political points, I have to shake my head. Madam Speaker, let us not forget that it is their government that kept St. Thomas in the dark for almost 28 years. It is this Andrew Holness-led government that brought the light. It is this Andrew Holness government that led government that cares for the people of St. Thomas, bringing the South Coast Highway, which aims to enhance the alignment and capacity of the existing Southern Coast roads. In my first presentation, The Audacity to Shine, I asked the government to consider building a wall right there in front of Fish Cove because of climate change and erosion of our land. And it is this government that is currently building that wall right now to keep the ocean from taking over the land right there at Leith Hall. It is this government that is widening the roadway from single lane to dual lane traffic with a Jersey barrier addressing major flooding and drainage issues. It is this government that is introducing Sparks program and the REACH program. And after all this time, it is this Andrew Holness-led government in collaboration with NWA and China Harbor who will finally fix the flooding problem in Port Morant Square. Madam Speaker, we're not a chaka-chaka government. We don't just build on a hill and then wonder how the road and the water and electricity is going to get to that building. We are a government of order, and we plan and then we build. That is why they call our Prime Minister the Builder. We have a record of achievements, and the residents of St. Thomas Eastern have my word that the flooding at Port Morant Square will be fixed by this government as well. The NWA is currently in negotiation to acquire the land that will build the well-needed drainage system to take the flood water to the sea and solve the flooding problem in Port Morant once and for all. I say to the residents of St. Thomas, we are better off today than we were 4 years ago because you voted for change. We now have a government that understands how to balance the budget and has grown the Jamaican economy for 10 consecutive quarters. This is why we can speak about repairing and building roads. They couldn't talk about that before. Madam Speaker, because historically, when we have fallen into economic decline, it is this Jamaica Labour Party government that changes their course and puts us back on top. We are the party of positive change. So don't let your light go out in St. Thomas. Hold on to your victory. Madam Speaker, a well-developed transportation system is vital for the town's economic growth, social well-being, environmental sustainability, safety, and security. I am proud to announce that the Jamaica Urban Transit Company began operating in St. Thomas last Monday with 2 bus routes leaving from Yallis Bay and Morant Bay, respectively. I was excited to be on the first bus ride from Morant Bay to Kingston. I want to personally thank the member from West Portland and the Minister of Transportation for remembering St. Thomas. I know he traveled on the bus to St. Thomas this morning. You see, Madam Speaker, in September 2020, the people of St. Thomas Eastern chose change. Almost 28 years of the other party and nothing to show for it. Today, the people of St. Thomas can ride comfortably in a first-class, air-conditioned luxury bus on a brand new highway named after our national hero, the Right Honorable Paul Bogle. And you can get to Kingston from Morant Bay in less than an hour. In the first week alone, 2,089 passengers were lifted, Madam Speaker. Not even Montego Bay have a JUTC that come to Kingston from there. We in the East feel special. Shots fired. The Jamaica Labour Party was a positive change we needed all along, and we're not going back. Madam Speaker, the journey ahead is exciting. The government has a record of achievements when they over there have a record of, you know what over there have a record of. We are the positive change that Jamaica needed, and we have a record of achievements, especially in St. Thomas over the last 4 years, to prove it. Right. Madam Speaker, let me close by reminding us, elected in this chamber, that we are the light that shines bright in the darkness. We are the beacon of hope, guiding our nation towards a brighter tomorrow. Yes. When we tear down each other and shine a negative light on each other, we dim the brightness of our nation. As a brand new member of Parliament in 2020, just a few weeks old, a baby in Parliament, while learning to navigate my job, the leader of the opposition drove all the way to my constituency before the highway was complete to demonize me and to dim my light. And yes, I took it personally. And I say to the opposition, through you, Madam Speaker, as you drag our Prime Minister's name through the mud internationally, can we choose Jamaica? Let us choose Jamaica. Let's choose to shine and to inspire and to uplift each other. Let us choose a future that is brighter than our past. Together, we will build a Jamaica where every child can thrive, where every community can prosper, and where every citizen can live with dignity. Madam Speaker, through you, I say to St. Thomas and to Jamaica, we are shining even brighter than we were 4 years ago. Do not let your light go out. Third term, we say. I pray for love, light, and blessings on St. Thomas Eastern and Jamaica, land we love. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Well done. Excellent. Excellent. We ended the year well. Oh, about 5. I don't mind. He's the one person.
House Leader.
Madam Speaker, at this time, I ask you to please invite Mr. Robert Miller, Member of Parliament for St. Catherine Southeast, to make his presentation, which will signal the close of the debate. Thank you.
Thank you, House Leader. The member from St. Catherine Southeast. Member Miller.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Now, 20 members participated in this year's State of Constituency debate. The presentations, Madam Speaker, were energetic, and they delivered with enthusiasm. The debate focused heavily on rebuilding after Hurricane Beryl. The debate started on October 8, 2024, where I started debates and mentioned stuff that transpired in the constituency of Southeastern St. Catherine. Madam Speaker, we are moving aggressively in ensuring that the constituency of Southeast St. Catherine becomes a model of the Caribbean. We want the constituency to be a place where families can live, work, and play. We outlined certain initiatives that we have implemented, and we are now appealing to the Jamaica Public Service to play an integral role in our lives. The regular lock-off of electricity is preventing our water flow and is destroying our appliances. And with no one to speak with, apart from Minister Vaz, there was also a planned town hall meeting where they were invited and they bailed out at the 9th hour. Madam Speaker, we are asking the JPS also to reinstate the office that was closed in Portmore, where citizens can come in and speak at their own comfort, bearing in mind that Portmore will be the 15th parish soon. We traversed to St. Elizabeth Northwestern, where the member addressed ongoing initiatives such as road infrastructure improvement programs, educational support, housing assistance, and community connectivity projects. He emphasized the government's commitment to addressing issues such as post-hurricane recovery, electricity disruptions, and water supply challenges. He went on to say that St. Elizabeth Northwestern is holding on to their victory. We went over to my dear brother, St. Mary's Southeastern, where the member in his presentation emphasized initiatives focusing on education enhancement, infrastructure development, economic growth, and visionary plans, including expanding the JUTC bus service, establishing a new housing scheme, and promoting vocational training. Highlight the comprehensive approach towards ensuring a brighter future for all his constituents. We went on to Westmoreland Western, where the member is standing strong. The member articulated his views, and I highlighted that with partnerships among the government and local organizations such as the Negril Chamber of Commerce and the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, efforts have been made to foster economic growth and improve infrastructure. He went on and spoke about the Sparks and the REACH program and promised his constituents that this will modernize the constituency that he served, and he will be there with them throughout thick and thin. We took a sprint to West Rural St. Andrew, where the member highlighted that a significant progress has been made towards enhancing community infrastructure, educational opportunities, healthcare facilities, and social welfare programs, improving of farm roads to provide housing assistance. The government's initiative aims to uplift communities and empower residents in their economic stability. The member mentioned that it was a quick sprint, but rest assured, her footprints were left in the sand. We went to Hanover Western, where the member presentation talked about the housing infrastructure and emphasized the importance of the Prime Minister's new social housing program, where many needed citizens in her constituency benefited from this program. She mentioned the REACH program as well and the Sparks program, that indeed got some sparks in her constituency, and many roads were repaired through this program. She's carving the road of success for her second term in the near future. We went over to St. Mary Western. The members' presentation highlighted various development initiatives and projects aimed at improving the lives of citizens in Western St. Mary. From the Greater Mason Hall Water Project to the Industry Pen Housing Scheme and the proposed social economic zone at Bascobel, significant efforts were being made to enhance infrastructure, healthcare, education, and economic opportunities in the constituency. The focus on shared prosperity is evident through investment in education, healthcare, housing, agriculture, rural development, and employment, with a proposed $15 billion program to uplift the poor and vulnerable across the constituency. Now, this Member of Parliament boasts about the need for food security. As a farmer himself in southeastern St. Elizabeth, he spoke about the plans that were implemented. And recently, the Essence Valley Irrigation Project, which brought water to over 100 hectares of farmland, which benefits over 1,000 farmers at a cost of $6 billion, which will be powered by solar. Essence Valley, Madam Speaker, will also have food processing facilities along with cold storage. And the member said in his presentation that he will transform his constituency as he has done and will continue to do, and he will pave the path for the years to come. The first member from the opposite bench, from northwestern Manchester, thanked the government for the Troy Bridge and also raised some concerns about the impact of backside transportation on road safety. His presentation also addressed transportation challenges faced by rural communities, emphasizing the need for expanded routes and improved access to proper transportation. Overall, the focus of this member was advocating for improvements in infrastructure and transportation. But the government hears the member and is moving with alacrity where this is concerned. In Manchester Southern, the member was excited. The member in his presentation highlighted that over 440 households receive monetary assistance, while support was extended to farmers and fisher folks. As the constituency grapple with infrastructural challenges, including bad roads that have been seen for years of neglect, plans are afoot to develop these corridors and to ensure that the constituency of Manchester Southern remains in his column. My colleague and brother, my neighbor in East Central St. Catherine, is committed to the enhancement of lives of residents in East Central, which is evident through various community-driven initiatives aimed at evaluating educational standards and fostering economic resilience. There is also a strategic investment in local businesses. Education and social programs continue to uplift families out of hardship and insecurity. My colleague from Kingston Central highlighted efforts that have significantly reduced violent crimes in the area, notably credited to the Parade Garden Zone of Special Operations. These operations, Madam Speaker, have been acknowledged with the Minister of National Security, recognizing an impressive 88% contribution to the overall reduction of crime. The infrastructure in the constituency has been enhanced. Substantive advancements have been made, specifically with the rehabilitation of community roads that have been faced challenges due to adverse weather conditions. We went over to St. James Southern, where the minister and member emphasized on his commitment to enhancing the quality of life. The member has initiated various water projects which are crucial in providing reliable water supply to the numerous communities, some of which have faced long-standing shortage. The rehabilitation of roads under the government Sparks and Reach program was of significant assistance in his constituency. He mentioned the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl and how he's there to support local farmers through resource distribution and the rehabilitation of farm access roads. We went over to Westmoreland Central, where Member Wright highlighted public-private partnerships, revitalizing inner-city communities. These partnerships are effectively transforming inner-city communities, leading to reduce of crime and increased youth engagement. Major investment in this road infrastructure. He also stated that the constituency is experiencing growth in tourism and job creation, particularly in the small hotel and BPO sectors. The member also mentioned disaster response efforts post-Hurricane Beryl and ongoing security enhancement, including a new police headquarters. He's saying also that his constituency will always choose right when the time is right. We went on to St. James Central, where the member outlined that over 80 pieces of smart boards were required to be shipped to his constituency to be placed in his institutions, to put his institutions on the cutting edge. He's pushing that holistic development of his constituents. The member mentioned the no objection letter which he received from the St. James Municipal Council to commence work on his multi-purpose court, which will consist a jogging trail, futsal, and park benches, and general beautification of the area. We went over to St. Andrew Western. The member boasts of his 60th anniversary of the Duane Park community.
House Leader, the member's time for speaking has expired.
Madam Speaker, the member's time for speaking having been expired, I beg to move that it be extended by 5 minutes to allow him to complete his presentation. May it please you, Madam Speaker.
The question is that the member's time be extended by 5 minutes. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
Thank you. The member mentioned about the anniversary dinner as well. He mentioned that the importance of the government to take seriously the Sandy Gully, which is a threat to residents of Seaview Gardens Waterhouse, and Washington Gardens. The member also mentioned that he wired over 100 houses in the Riverton community that has been completed, allowing citizens to be plugged into the grid, where they have seen the light at the end of the tunnel. We went over to St. Elizabeth, Northeastern. Madam Speaker, the member presentation highlighted the progress in 7 critical areas: infrastructure, water system upgrades. The action man even mentioned education, health, community development, sports, agriculture, and social housing. Madam Speaker, this is a lot. Significant advancement in infrastructure have laid the foundation for sustainable development. He did mention as well the Sparks program, which he promises to reshape his constituency. Water system upgrades aims to ensure reliable access to potable water, promoting agricultural productivity. Madam Speaker, he said agriculture remains a priority. Then we went on to Manchester Central, where we found out that a lot of road are fixed. Madam Speaker, Member Crawford spoke about the multi-billion-dollar Greater Mandeville Water Improvement System that is now in its final phase of completion. When completed, the system will provide potable water to more than 5,000 new customers. She mentioned also about the Maypen to Williamsfield leg of South Coast Highway, which significantly reduced travel time between Mandeville and Maypen and Mandeville and Kingston, which has now been completed. In the area of housing, more than 1,000 new low-income housing and service lots have become available through Phase 1 and 2 of the NHT Perth housing development. Madam Speaker, she said this is a step in the right place to ensure that the middle class is well taken care of. We heard from our brother, Stalwart, in Westmoreland Eastern, who mentioned that his constituency was badly affected by Hurricane Beryl. However, recovery efforts were made, and the farmers and fisher folks were assisted. The fishing infrastructure will be upgraded with cold storage and better docking facility. The mention said that modernization of the school is underway in adding computer labs and digital libraries. And pretty soon, 2 of its primary schools will be fully digital, equipping the students with the tools to complete globally. We just heard from our sister in St. Thomas Eastern, who appealed to the constituents not to give away their light. She mentioned the JUTC, who started operating in St. Thomas with 2 bus routes, 701 and 702, leaving from Yallas to Moran Bay is a major achievement in regards to our constituents. Madam Speaker, we have heard all the reports. From all indication, people might say, nothing now go on, but big things are going on. Madam Speaker, from these presentations, the government is resolute in meeting the need of every single constituent, and the government is purposefully achieving their mandate as a caring government. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker,
I think this Honorable House has been through perhaps the most comprehensive and far-reaching debate on the state of constituencies. The participation has been strong, the content has been great, and indeed, Madam Speaker, it indicates the performance of members of this House in relation to their constituencies. And I really want to commend them. I want to particularly commend the member who moved the resolution, and he will have to, of course, ask for the approval of the resolution in due order. So I just wanted to intervene at this point, Madam Speaker, to indicate how this Honorable House is seized with the performance of the members in this particular debate, and certainly to make the strong inference of how it will find itself into the budget of 25 to 26 fiscal year. May it please you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I now ask that the motion moved and on the 8th of October 2024 with respect to proposals put forward by members of Parliament regarding constituency matters be approved.
Thanks, member. The question is that the motion be approved. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. House Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I now beg to move for a recommittal of the items starting with statements by ministers to the conclusion of the agenda. And Madam Speaker, I just wish to thank members for allowing the kind of truncations that took place in relation to the agenda itself. But indeed, it offered the opportunity for us to do a lot of business today and to cover some valuable grounds, particularly to enable the Bank of Jamaica to have discussed properly and thoroughly the fiscal statement that they presented. May it please you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, House Leader. Statement by ministers. Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs. You make her welcome.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Following on my ministerial statement 1 week ago on December 3, 2024, I am pleased to inform this Honorable House and the people of Jamaica that a bill entitled An Act to Repeal the Jamaica Constitution, Order in Council 1962, and to provide for the legal recognition and operation of the Constitution of Jamaica, notwithstanding the repeal of that order in council, to amend the Constitution of Jamaica to provide for a non-monarchical head of state, thereby establishing Jamaica as a republic, to make other amendments in respect of certain provisions of the Constitution, and to provide for connected matters, is today tabled in this Honorable House. Madam Speaker, the tabling of the bill marks the greatest progress made so far in our effort to reform the Constitution of Jamaica to achieve the national goals of having a Jamaican as head of state instead of the hereditary British monarch, and also having our supreme law taken out from under the cloak of the imperial order in council and placed in proper form. Interestingly, Madam Speaker, today we also celebrate International Human Rights Day and the 100th anniversary of the birth of former Prime Minister Michael Manley. There are no coincidences. Madam Speaker, here is a summary of what the Republic Bill will achieve when passed into law. The patriation of the Constitution and the beginning of the Jamaicanization of the Constitution through the inclusion of, among other things, a preamble. a preamble, Madam Speaker, which reads, "We, the people of Jamaica, affirm our place as a free and self-respecting people in the global community. We proudly acknowledge that our history of struggle, sacrifice, endurance, and triumph led us to become an independent democratic nation. We resoundingly acclaim this heritage and hold it in trust to pass on to future generations. We joyfully celebrate our resilient spirit in the face of adversity, our outstanding achievements in different fields, and our contribution to the advancement of humanity. We humbly proclaim our gratitude to the Almighty for the beauty of our island, the abundance of our natural resources, our talents, and the strong institutions we have built. We wholeheartedly commit to the protection and preservation of our culture and environment, to the principles of justice, equity, and truth, to the upholding of the rights of all, and to the enhancement of our moral, material, and spiritual well-being. To which end, we solemnly declare this Constitution to be the sovereign will of the people of Jamaica." Madam Speaker, in addition to the preamble, the national items comprising the national emblem, the national flag, the national anthem, both lyrics and music, the national symbols, which are the national tree, the national flower, the national fruit, and the national bird, along with our national motto, the national pledge, the national song, lyrics and music, and the national prayer are included in the Constitution for the first time. Our black, green, and gold, our anthem, our symbols are included in the Constitution. The bill will also see the Jamaica Interpretation Act 1968 as amended apply instead of the UK Interpretation Act 1889, frozen at that date. It has clarified provisions regarding Jamaican citizenship, recognition at the highest level of the Caribbean community, and Jamaica's participation in it. Comprehensive provisions for the office of President of Jamaica as a Republic, including qualifications to hold the office, procedure for appointment, tenure of the office, including removal from office, immunity, and oath. In this regard, it's important to note that for the first time, the Constitution is making provision for the joint sitting of the Senate and the House of Representatives. Currently, the two houses sit by convention at the ceremonial opening of the Parliament and when foreign heads of state or heads of government visit. We will see an expanded Senate to include senators appointed independently of the political parties in the House of Representatives. And in this regard, when appointments are being made in that category, consideration is to be given to the representation of the interest of Jamaican citizens living abroad, commonly referred to as the diaspora interest. We will see a clearer mechanism to alter the Constitution, a revised Section 49. Madam Speaker, also of importance is the entrenchment of the Electoral Commission in the Constitution, honoring the commitment made when the Interim Act was passed in 2006. These are among long-standing national goals being pursued in this bill. Although the pre-parliamentary process was specifically designed to ensure meaningful participation of representatives of the parliamentary opposition and the wider society, the bill will be reviewed by a joint select committee of Parliament. And Madam Speaker, at a later stage today, I will ask for the suspension of the standing orders to enable this to be done. Every effort will be made to circulate the bill widely. I invite everyone to read it carefully, and I look forward to the feedback and presentations that will be made before the Joint Select Committee. Madam Speaker, alongside the bill, every member has been provided with a consolidated copy of the Jamaica Constitution, Order in Council 1962. It is clothed in our national colors and will enable everyone to see what will change in this first phase of the reform work. Madam Speaker, I want to once again put on record my profound gratitude to each member of the Constitutional Reform Committee. Some of the members are here. The representative of the Jamaica umbrella groups of churches, Dr. Elaine McCarthy, and her soon-to-be husband, Dr. Nadine Spence, representing civil society, and Mr. Sujay Boswell, representing the younger set of people in the nation. Also want to thank the supporting secretariat, led by Permanent Secretary Mr. Wayne O. Robertson. And Mr. Robertson is present here, as well as members of the secretariat from the ministry who are here witnessing this historic occasion. They have worked well, Madam Speaker, and they are shining like true stars. The ministry also present is our Director of Legal Reform, Ms. Nadine Wilkins, and I will specially mention Mr. Christopher Harper, our Senior Constitutional Reform Officer, who has worked tremendously. I know I run into trouble when I start naming because the team has worked well. So please just understand that it is not my intention to exclude anyone, because as a team we have worked well, and it has been a journey of immense growth. The Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs will publish the next steps to keep everyone abreast on where we go from here. In closing, Madam Speaker, I put on record my pleasure for the signal of bipartisan support here in the Parliament. And I omitted to mention Mr. Anthony Hilton, who is one of the opposition representatives on the committee. I really believe that the signal of bipartisan support before going to the people for their approval in the pursuit of these national goals is the right thing to do. I expect that the deliberations of the Joint Select Committee will be robust. And I know that there are views as to how this can be done, but we are where we are, and it is a historic place. I believe that history will record this day positively for many reasons. As I listened to Member Charles, I couldn't help but borrow your line. Let's choose a future that is brighter than our past. I say, to God be the glory, and may God continue to bless Jamaica, land we love.
Leader of Opposition Business, Acting, Member Hilton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is to be acknowledged that today is an important day. It marks a landmark in a journey that was started many years ago, but in this latest iteration in March of last year. I want to acknowledge, along with the Minister, the work, the tremendous work and the effort put in by a number of persons, both on this, in the CRC and on the ministry and the staff, that tremendous efforts were made, and that those efforts, we believe, will redound to the benefit of the nation as a whole. And we want to acknowledge those efforts and to share the view that it is still our hope that in the processes that are outlined, that will continue this discussion, that we could find the common ground that will enable us to make the critical steps that are needed, and that in the main are not contentious. There are issues and there are areas of concern, but the goals and the objectives are not the same, are not contentious, and they're not different. We may have different timelines and how to proceed on them, but I believe, and I'm still hopeful, that in the discussions to come, we can find the common ground on which to move forward in unity and in unison in the way that the amendments to the Constitution, the entrenched provisions in the Constitution requires that we must. So, Madam Speaker, it is an important day, an important landmark. We are looking forward to and are still hopeful that we can find the common ground on those issues that have not yet seen a unity of commitment and purpose at this point. But I think much work has been done, much excellent work has been done. And it is our hope that the effort will not, none of the effort will be wasted, and it will not be in vain. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and look forward to the process going forward. Thank you.
If there are no other comments, Minister? House?
Madam Speaker, just to say that I am hopeful that the national goals that we are pursuing will be achieved.
Thank you, Minister. House Leader?
I think you will proceed now with the agenda.
Is this such an important matter? I wondered if no one else had any contributions. We will continue with announcements.
Laid on the table of the House are the following. Annual report of the Nutrition Products Limited for the financial year 2019-2020. Annual report of the National Council on Education for the financial year 2017-2018. Annual report of the Early Childhood Commission for the financial year 2020-2021. Annual report of the Caribbean Maritime Institute for the financial year 2015-2016. Annual report of the National Education Trust for the financial year 2016-2017. Annual report and audited financial statements of the Jamaica International Free Zone Development Limited for the financial year 2018-2019. Annual report of the Overseas Examination Commission for the financial year 2019-2020. Annual report and audited financial statements of the Social Investment Fund for the financial year 2023-2024. The Integrity Commission report of investigation concerning irregularities in respect of the construction of a residential development located at 2 Wycliffe Close, Beverly Hills, Kingston 6, contrary to the terms of building permit issued to Estate Bridge Holdings Limited by the KSAMC. Integrity Commission report of investigation concerning allegations of an act of corruption in respect of recovery of outstanding National Insurance Scheme contributions at the Westmoreland Parish Office of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security for the period 2022-2023 contrary to the Corruption Prevention Act and its indicative ruling. The National Housing Trust, Housing Benefits, Special Selection, Catherine Estates Housing Development, Batch 2, Order 2024, under the National Housing Trust Act, the National Housing Trust, Housing Benefits, Special Selection for Shrewsbury Phase 2 Housing Development, Batch 2, Order 2024, and the Savannah Park Housing Development Order of 2024, both under the National Housing Trust Act. The income tax percentage of electricity generated from renewable energy sources, Order of 2024, and its resolution under the Income Tax Act. The Jamaica Gazette Supplement, Proclamations, Rules and Regulations, 2925, Volume 147, dated Thursday, December 5th, 2024, number 463, enclosing the Constitution of Jamaica. And finally, the Jamaica Gazette Supplement, Proclamations, Rules and Regulations, 2929, Volume 147, dated Thursday, December 5, 2024, number 464, enclosing the emergency powers specified areas in the parish of St. Andrew, Regulations 2024, under the Emergency Powers Act. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Clerk. Bills brought from the Senate, petitions, papers, reports from committees, notices of motions given orally. We'll have several. We'll start with the Minister for Legal and Constitutional Affairs.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice. Be it resolved that this Honourable House appoint a select committee of the following members.
Minister, go ahead.
Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the commencement of the next meeting of the House, I will move to introduce and have read a first time a bill shortly entitled the Constitution Amendment Republic Act 2024.
Thank you, Minister.
Madam Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance and the Public Service, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move the following motion. The income tax percentage of electricity generated from renewable energy sources, Order 2024 Resolution. Whereas Section 31B(7) of the Income Tax Act, hereinafter referred to as the Act, provides that there shall be levied and paid, with effect from the year of assessment 2023, taxed at a rate of 25 cents in every dollar of the chargeable income of an independent power plant producer that one is a company and B, generates the prescribed percentage of its generated electricity from the prescribed renewable energy sources. And whereas Section 93(2)(a) of the Act provides that for the purposes of Section 31B(7)(b), the Minister may, by order published in the Gazette, prescribe A, the percentage of electricity to be generated from renewable energy sources, and B, the renewable energy sources. And whereas on the 10th day of October 2024, the Minister made the income tax percentage of electricity generated from renewable energy sources, Order 2024. Now, therefore, be it resolved by this Honourable House as follows. 1. This resolution may be cited as the income tax percentage of electricity generated from renewable energy sources, Order 2024 Resolution. 2. the income tax percentage of electricity generated from renewable energy sources, Order 2024, is affirmed. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, I beg to give notice at the next meeting of the House I will move to introduce and have read a first time a bill shortly entitled the Income Tax Amendment Number 2 Act 2024. At presentation of bills, Madam Speaker, I beg to move again on behalf of the Minister without the portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. I beg to give notice at the next sitting of the House of Representatives. I will move to introduce and have read a first time bills shortly entitled the Natural Resource Conservation Authority Amendment Act 2024 and the Wildlife Protection Amendment Act 2024. Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move the following motion. Be it resolved that on the following orders, be it resolved that the following orders be referred to the Regulations Committee of the House for consideration and report. 1. The National Housing Trust Housing Benefit Savannah Park Housing Development Order 2024 under the National Housing Trust Act, which was laid on the table of the House on the 10th day of December 2024. 2. The National Housing Trust Housing Benefits Special Selection Catherine Hall Estate Housing Development Batch 2, Order 2024, under the National Housing Trust Act, which was laid on the table of the House on the 10th day of December 2024. And 3. The National Housing Trust Housing Benefits Special Selection Shrewsbury Phase 2 Housing Development, Order 2024, under the National Housing Trust Act, which was laid on the table of the House on the 10th day of December 2024. Madam Speaker, I further beg to give notice that at a later stage today, I will move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take this motion. Madam Speaker, the motions which were tabled in the House are available for members, and therefore I will avoid reading all the details because they have already been tabled in the House. May it please you, Madam Speaker.
Next, we will have the Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs.
Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move the following motion. Be it resolved that this Honourable House appoint a select committee comprising the following members: Marlene Malahou-Ford, Chair, Mr. Mika Davis, Ms. Carencia Morrison, Mr. Dwayne Smith, Mr. Mark Golding, and Mr. Anthony Hilton, to sit jointly with a similar committee to be appointed by the Honourable Senate to consider and report on the bill shortly entitled the Constitution Amendment Republic Act 2024. I further beg to give notice that at a later stage today, I will move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take this motion.
Thank you, Minister. Questions and answers to questions. Motions that may be made at the commencement of public business requiring notice. Motions relating to the sitting of the House. Motion for leave to introduce bills. Presentation of bills without leave of the House. First obtained, Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs.
Speaker, I now move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take the first reading of a bill shortly entitled the Constitution Amendment Republic Act 2024.
Members, the question is that the standing orders be suspended to allow the Minister to take the first reading of the bill. Those in favor? Those against, the ayes have it.
The Constitution Amendment Republic Act 2024 read a first time.
Madam Speaker, as you know, the bill cannot now be read a second time because of the Constitution provision that mandates a period between the first and the second reading. It has been. Madam Speaker, it has been read a first time. I'm just reminding members that we are using the Section 49(3) provisions, and we cannot move from the first to the second reading before a period of 3 months has elapsed. Although we are proceeding with the suspension of the standing orders to establish the Joint Select Committee.
Madam Speaker, I now move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take the first reading of the National Resource Conservation Authority Amendment Act 2024 and the Wildlife Protection Amendment Act 2024.
Members, the question is that the standing orders be suspended to allow the minister to take first reading of the bill. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Minister?
Madam Speaker, I now move that the bill shortly entitled the Natural Resource Conservation Authority Amendment Act 2024 and the Wildlife Protection Amendment Act 2024 be read a first time.
Clark.
The Natural Resources Conservation Authority Amendment Act 2024 read a first time, and the Wildlife Protection Amendment Act 2024 also read a first time.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move for the second reading of both bills. Madam Speaker, I now move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take the first reading of a bill shortly entitled the Income Tax Amendment Number 2, Act 2024.
Members, the question is that the standing orders be suspended to allow for the first reading of the bill. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
I now move that a bill shortly entitled the Income Tax Amendment Number 2, Act 2024 be read a first time.
The Income Tax Amendment Number 2, Act 2024 read a first time.
Thank you. Minister?
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice of the second reading of the bill.
Thank you, House Leader. I'm just making sure to double check all my notes since we have been in many places today that we have not left anything out. House Leader, we're back at public business.
Madam Speaker, I now move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take the motions, notice of which I gave earlier. In respect of the 3 resolutions from the NHT.
Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the motions be approved.
House, the question is that the motion notice of which the minister gave earlier be approved. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
Madam Speaker, I now move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take the motion in respect of the establishment of the select committee that will sit jointly with a similar committee to be appointed by the Honorable Senate. Notice of which I gave orally.
Thanks, Minister. Members, question is that the motion, notice of which was given earlier, along with the names of the individuals to comprise the committee being established or convened, be approved by the members of Parliament. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. Thank you, members. Minister?
Madam Speaker, I now ask that the motion be approved.
Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. House Leader?
To the end of a long and productive day, covering a number of critical areas and having, as I said, to navigate various modes of iterations as we went through the agenda today. But, Madam Speaker, on the motion of adjournment, I'd like to use the opportunity to thank the members of the House for an excellent session that has seen a number of very valuable contributions with regards to the performance and the stewardship of members to their constituencies. Indeed, Madam Speaker, this is what democracy is all about. It's giving space for the expression of the will of the people in the many forms that they come, but more importantly, an opportunity for us to express what the wishes of the people are in this honorable House through the voice of the representatives. Madam Speaker, we want also to recognize the work in this session of the clerk and the team members of this honorable House, and without whom this House could not have operated as efficiently as it has. And we want to make note of some of the small accomplishments but valuable contributions that have been made, one of which is the refurbishing of the members' lounge, which now looks like somewhere that we can be pleased to invite someone to come and have a lunch with us there. Madam Speaker, I really want to commend the team led by you to enable that refurbishing. And I think that it's not just that it is commodious, but also that it does provide a useful atmosphere within which members and guests can have a quiet moment and enjoy a good meal. Madam Speaker, this is the season of good cheer. We've come to the end of this session, but it also begins another very important area of human activity within, particularly, our space. And certainly, we in the Judeo-Christian faith recognizes this period as a very special period, one of cheer and goodwill, and it reflects the gift, the greatest gift of all that has been given to us, that of our Lord Jesus. So we're excited about celebrating it and celebrating it well. And the country is mobilized to celebrate this. And the members of Parliament can't wait to go and to join their constituents in making arrangements and preparations for this season. But I just want to, on behalf of all of us, to express our feelings of goodwill and our expressions of cheer to all the members on both sides of the House, and to wish for you all a Merry Christmas and a very happy New Year.
Madam Speaker, I'll be very brief and acknowledge the words of the House Leader on behalf of all of us, but I want to particularly reference the work of you and the staff of the Parliament, and to apologize to the staff for not being able to join them earlier today. I had every intention to, but as you can see, I'm not in the best of health, and so I apologize to them, but I will enjoy my first lunch in the refurbished settings downstairs at the shortest possible time. I hear it's great. I've gotten good report, so looking forward to it. No, I'm not. So wishing everyone well, Merry Christmas, and enjoy the holidays. Be safe, and for us to return to work in good health and good cheers. Thank you.
Thank you. House Leader Mike.
It is not intended to do any further business for today, and I therefore invite you to adjourn this Honorable House for a date to be fixed.
Members, I encourage everyone to get some rest over the Christmas holidays. Please ensure that you do not leave your Constitution behind. Take them up. They are not to be wasted. Orderlies, I'm asking you to please gather any remaining documents here, particularly this book and the bill, and put them down because members will be coming to ask you for it. Members, enjoy your holidays, rest, and we see each other on a date to be fixed, hopefully late in January. This Honorable House now stands adjourned.
Learn a new skill and expand your horizons.
The winner of the Marcus Garvey Award for Excellence in the Performing Arts is Arden High!
You could be the 2025 winner, but it starts with your entry, which is now easier than ever with our new online platform. Just log on at jcdc.gov.jm. Entries closed December 13. Log on now, jcdc.gov.jm.
The one camping tent. I'm showing you why I'm about.
End up here over here, son of a lift up now.
Welcome to Flatbridge. The infamous Dopey Church. I never afraid. If you wash your face with rice water, then you can't see Dopey.
No, me don't want to say Dopey, no.
If I turn the yoke to the left, then the airplane will bank to the left.
Oh, that! Oh, that! Where's my bicycle, dog?
Every student attending Heart and Estate Trust under the New Care Initiative will get $15,000 each month to help cover their travel expenses to the Heart School they're attending and get an extra $13,000 each week while they're training.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Get ready to be inspired. Join us on PBCJ's Giving Hearts, the show that celebrates kindness, compassion, and generosity.
So we try to give books, shoes, lunch snacks, and uniform allowance.
We'll share powerful stories of individuals and organizations making a difference across the island each week.
My mother and I felt the need to keep helping children with special needs and other children.
From ordinary people doing extraordinary things to organizations driving positive change.
And we haul up garbage, whether with our nets, hooks, picks.
Giving Hearts will warm your heart and inspire you to take action. Don't miss Giving Hearts, airing Sundays at 8 p.m. with a rebroadcast on Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. exclusively on PBCJ, the People's Station.
If you want to volunteer, definitely do it. You get actually a rewarding feeling after.
Join the movement. Spread love. Give from the heart. Giving Hearts, Sundays at 8 p.m., Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. on PBCJ. Follow us on social media at PBC Jamaica for updates and more inspiring stories.
Denise Williams here, inviting you to join us on Financially Focused, the ultimate destination for go-getters who are ready to take the step-by-step actions to master your finances and create a family legacy. Tune in, watch, take notes, and participate to discover the strategies of our expert guests who provide invaluable guidance and powerful coaching tools to supercharge your financial journey.
Tune in to Financially Focused, Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. only on PBCJ, the People's Station.
The winner of the Marcus Garvey Award for Excellence in the Performing Arts is Arden High!
You could be the 2025 winner, but it starts with your entry, which is now easier than ever with our new online platform. Just log on at jcdc.gov.jm. Entries closed December 13. Log on now, jcdc.gov.jm.
Welcome to Let's Talk Goals,
a dynamic 30-minute discussion program focused on sustainable development in Jamaica.
How does that relate to national security?
So specifically to inequalities, Archibald, at the national level, we have to look at the issue of vulnerability. We have some communities in our country that we consider to be volatile, and we consider them to be vulnerable as well. These are the communities that often lack the basic services, social services that make them viable and active participants in the national development of the country. And so you'll find that these communities are often predisposed to issues of crime and violence. And so in reducing inequalities, we have to meet these vulnerable communities where they are and implement strategies that will reduce the level of vulnerability.
Let's Talk Goals, Thursdays at 8 p.m. only on PBCJ, the People's Station.
Your safety and security continue to be our priority. We are seeing a downward trend in major crimes, and we are investing $650 million in technology improvement for our police force to provide greater coverage across Jamaica by 2028.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Good morning, everyone. It's a great Saturday morning as we embark with the Forestry Department and a host of other persons going on a hike into the hills up to Sincona, starting at Clydesdale, driving up, very pristine, very beautiful, very relaxing. And that's the purpose of these hikes. It's about wellness, it's about mental space. And we are gathered here at the office of Toyota, who is a part of this organization. And guess what? Looking forward to it. All right, guys, so we are ready to go. And the ride has begun. right, good to be here this beautiful Saturday morning in the Blue Mountains. We're right above Hollywell Park, about to start this hike. It is a forest wellness hike, and there is a deep link between health of the environment and human health. And this morning is really a kickstart to an awareness campaign about the health of our forests and indeed the benefit that can come from hiking in this space. So I'm working with Minister Tufton, indeed the Ministry of Health, and of course the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation through the Forestry Department to ensure more Jamaicans get to experience our forests and get the health benefits from it while appreciating why they have to make safe environmental decisions. All right, so guess what? We are now at Clydesdale, part of the Forest Reserve, and the trek has been long but good, amazing, lovely scenery, really feeling relaxed, and we're about now to do the 5K or so walk up to Syncona, that beautiful botanical garden. It's very important because guess what? At the end of the day, health is not just about hospitals. I keep saying it. Health is about enjoying your space, enjoying your environment, interacting with nature, just giving your mind a mental state that is relaxing, that is comfortable, and that refreshes and rejuvenates. And that's what our hike with the Forestry Department is all about. That's why I'm promoting it. That's why I'm encouraging it. And I'm saying to all Jamaicans, you can do it too. Find a tour guide, go see a beautiful side of Jamaica.
So, you'll start with from Clydesdale, heading up to Syncona. It's been a tough hike, but all of us can do it. Be easy, so we have to stick it up. It's about a 5K up. Feet a person can run, but we shall walk.
So guess what? So the slightly senior citizens of the group, still young but nevertheless older of the group, have to take a little time out, rest, because as you can see, it's flowing. Look at my friend Tom there.
No, I'm just keeping the older ones company.
But guess what? It's all good. We're enjoying ourselves. All right. Here we are, guys. We have made it to Syncona Botanical Gardens, all the way up in the Blue Mountains, and it is breathtaking. It's relaxing, it's peaceful, it's cool. The view is just amazingly scenic. My mental space is in a good place, and that's why we encourage it.
Beautiful. The air is just so clean. Some of it was definitely challenging, definitely got the heart rate up, but, leveled out and was manageable for the most part. So it's definitely a very enjoyable way to spend a Saturday morning.
Tired. Oh, but just awesome then. Them do well. I did well. The journey was really good. And I lose 5 pounds, I believe.
It was great. I'm happy I made it. I wasn't necessarily at my fittest, but because the trail has an incline and it's gradual, I was able to pace myself. Plus the spectacular views were motivation to get here.
So after a nice trek, a rest, little yoga, little tour, some picture taking, relaxation, we're on the way back down. Enjoyable hike today from Clydesdale to Syncona with the team. I'm sitting down because a little bit tired now. However, a very enjoyable sightseeing hike with good people, good company. All have relaxed, I believe, and we've enjoyed the view. This is an amazing part of the country, the hills of St. Andrew up in the Blue Mountains. And I think it has really re-energized us, certainly from a physical and mental perspective.
Jamaica improve, heart free, wages increase, housing scheme build up, we have more opportunities, roads build, and the dollar stable. We are building Jamaica.
Never drive under the influence. It's essential to avoid operating a vehicle if you have been drinking. Refrain from taking certain types of prescription or substances that may otherwise make you impaired. This is a road safety tip by the Public Broadcasting Corporation of Jamaica.
More of your money is now tax-free? Know that the income tax threshold has been increased. Your government is looking after you responsibly, so our economy can do even more for you.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Jamaicans, practice proper disposal of garbage, and if items can be reused, recycle them. We all have a part to play in protecting our environment from pollution. We are building Jamaica.
JA Today hits the road with the pilot phase of the new electronic ticket system and tells us how to report an accident. Stay with us. The electronic traffic ticketing system is expected to replace the existing manual ticketing system used by the Jamaica Constabulary Force to remove the element of human error that can occur. Let's get the facts.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm Vanessa Silvera. Now, the pilot phase of the electronic traffic ticket system is now in operation, and it is proving to be very effective. It's also a welcomed move by members of the police force. Now, to provide more details on this initiative is Head of the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, PSTEB, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Gary McKenzie. Welcome to the program, ACP McKenzie.
Thank you for having me.
Now, this electronic ticketing system is said to be a game changer in the police force, particularly in the traffic division. How is this so?
Well, it is definitely so in a number of ways. In fact, what it aims to do is for us to be more efficient in terms of how we serve the public. So, first up, we will make less mistakes. One of the issues with using paper-based traffic ticket is that the officer has to write. And so you don't have to do this by using the electronic device. It is pre-populated with certain information. And so if, for example, your driver's license number is inputted, then everything else about the driver comes up. Also, if you input the information in terms of the registration plate, then other information around the vehicle also comes up. So the police officer is able to issue a traffic ticket much faster. The device also comes with a printer, so the ticket is also printed at the same time. And of course, if the person chooses the option to pay a ticket just after the ticket has been issued, then they can go ahead and pay it because...
Right then and there.
Right then and there.
Right.
Right, not to the officer, but online, that is.
Right. Okay, now this system is connected to the Island Traffic Authority, the Inland Revenue Department, and the courts as well. How useful is this?
Very useful, and I just mentioned one of the advantage in terms of the information being online, and so it can be paid at the same time. Also, because there is this connectivity to TAJ, the information can be compared. So, for example, an officer could stop a person, and when they input the license plate, number, and letter, it differs from the vehicle that is actually in front of the officer.
Oh.
So that would send up a red flag
right.
to say that there is some misplacement in terms of the actual vehicle and the plate that is on it. And that also goes as well for the driver's license, because we have already discovered persons tendering fictitious driver's license to the police.
So it's a crime-fighting tool as well?
It is also a crime-fighting tool because you can gather information. You are also able to see how much outstanding traffic tickets that the person actually have. So it's really a very good tool.
It is. Now, let me ask, what kind of information shows up when the motorist's information is entered into the system?
Well, the person's address, their date of birth, when the driver's license was issued, when it expires, for the vehicle, the registration information, your fitness information, the insurance company for which the vehicle would have been insured, as well as the issue and the expiry dates.
All right, and how extensive is the rollout of the e-traffic ticket system? Is it in all areas of the island, or is it in concentrated areas?
Well, it is not yet in all areas of the island. We have started in the more dense area of the country, which is in the corporate area and St. Catherine, and the aim is to extend it just like anything else. Once you start, then you assess and you move across as you acquire more instruments.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the response from members of the JCF who use this electronic ticketing system.
Well, they are very happy with it because, for one, if you do not have to spend 5 or 7 minutes to write, and you are able to issue a traffic ticket within 2 minutes, then that is really quite very efficient. And so also with the paper-based ticket, the officers usually, when they get in off duty, they would have to write up several forms. They don't have to do that again because it is actually the information is already on the system, that is electronically. So, you know, it makes it much easier.
It does. Insightful. Now we have to take a break. So come back soon because this is a very interesting discussion.
It's absolutely critical that we receive the vaccines. You will see hospitalizations and indeed deaths likely come down. And so there is a lot of value to be gained by getting as many vulnerables on board as possible. So tell your mothers, tell your aunts, listen out for yourselves if you're over 60 and take the vax, because the vax is what will help you to guard against the COVID virus and indeed help your relatives, your friends, those who you come in contact with for the same benefit.